everyone. Welcome to another review and Merry Christmas for everyone. Well, it's not Christmas yet, but it's going to be very soon. I don't think I have anything planned for the week of Christmas. I'm just going to do basically wishing everybody a Merry Christmas, and pretty much that will be it. But other than that, I don't think I'll do any reviews here or either New Year's Eve because I want to take it easy. Sorry, I know it's been. I know that I should make probably videos around that time, but I feel almost exhausted, and it's already difficult enough for me for making videos, well, not that difficult, but it's very hard to come up with a movie to think about movies I want to talk about and ideas. And I'm not complaining, of course. It's just me just reminiscing of what I did this year. I'm just glad that I managed to get back to making videos regularly. Well, I have my issues of schedule, of course, but I still enjoy my time making videos, how I develop the videos in a weekly basis. I had my months in which I was so busy that I couldn't make one more consistently. I used to make two a week, but eventually it became taxating. But yeah, I'm not complaining because honestly, I'm just glad that I'm back of making videos. I'm back and making more regular reviews about movies, and that's all I got to say about that. But for now, for Christmas and for New Year's Eve, I don't think I'll be making reviews. I'll make videos wishing everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. But other than that, just going to relax. And and then I will go back to my regular reviews next year. So don't worry, you'll get this one, and then next week you'll get another review. But for now, that will be it. But regardless, I since this is the month of Christmas, I thought it would be the best of time for me to talk about one of the movies that as a child, I enjoy immensely. And this one is basically Jingle All the Way. Now, this movie has been around from the 90s, and a lot of people have watched it. A lot of people have given their own opinions and reviews. And many famous critics already said about their thoughts on the movie. Some are pretty much unfair to this film for many reasons. So I'm going to talk about my experience with Jingle All the Way. So it all began in the 90s. I was a huge Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, and to this day I still am. But I especially enjoy watching him in movies. I remember my first movie being Kindergarten Cop, and I always saw Arnold as Mr. Kimball, nothing else. I always saw him as this big, giant, very lovable, and very heartwarming. He was the hero of the children. He was a teacher to a lot of young kids, and he basically was there to help them. Then when I saw Terminator, I remember watching it in a restaurant, and then I said loud and clear, "Hey, that's Mr. Kimball." And he's naked. Well, I didn't say that, but I was shocked that he was naked because I saw him in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Don't worry. It was censored in my country because it came in the afternoon. But yeah, I have so many memories with Arnold and Jingle All the Way. I consider it my favorite movie out of all of them because it was Arnold going back to being crazy but being a badass at the same time around Christmas time. He was a lovable father who tried to do the right thing, but every time that he tried to get the present to his son, every time he did that, he always met some kind of trouble or he was being mocked to death. It was ridiculous, but I love it because of his journey. I remember when I was watching it so many times, then my father just said, "Son, my God, you have watched that movie 100 times. Please stop it." I said, "No, I love this movie. I freaking love every minute of it." So I thought that for this Christmas, now that I'm making more regular reviews, that I will just talk about Jingle All the Way, my experience with it, and why I enjoy it. So let's talk about the plot. So the plot of this movie is very simple. Arnold plays a man called Howard who has a wife and son. His son Jamie feels especially left out. You know, the trope of the overworking father never be there for his son's achievements, which was something that the 90s was basically pounding into every single kids film. Like the workaholic father who tries to be there for his son but realizes that the job is more important. But in this case, Howard has a dilemma. He has to buy a toy for Jamie in order to regain his trust and his love. And that toy is a Turbo Man doll, or basically a Turbo Man toy, which unfortunately has been sell out. So, and the worst part about this is that it is around Christmas time, meaning that Howard only has a few hours to find the Turbo Man toy and give it to its son. And along the way, he encounters police officers, he encounters evil Santa Claus thieves and scammers, he comes across reindeers who want to go through him, and he encounters another man looking for the same toy, which is Myron, played by Sinbad. And that creates a bit of a competition between them. So it's a race against time and in an effort to gain the love of his son again. So, what do I enjoy about this plot? I mean, it's pretty simple, very basic. It has a lot of goofy situations and a lot of ridiculous moments. But what I like about this movie is that it made me understand, wow, fathers can be very busy sometimes. We as children always need our parents to help us, to guide us, to play with us. But at the same time, it made me realize, man, I mean, Howard is not the best father, the best husband in the world. I'm not saying that he does anything inappropriate, but he really just spends his time trying to work, trying to earn his living, and honestly, I can't fault him for that. I mean, if I was Jamie, I would say, oh, okay, that I understand, and hey, at the very least, I can be in my house watching cartoons and TV shows, and that's something that I feel with Howard. He obviously is not doing this out of malice. He's just doing this because he has a lot of busy schedules, especially on Christmas. He wants to make everything be all right. And that's the best part about this movie. The journey of Howard, that he tries to make promises that he couldn't keep, but now he's trying to make amends, trying his best to live it, and to trying to buy this toy that everybody's buying, and it just reflects also the around time about the 90s and Christmas. It became so commercialized, so very ridiculous about the toys. It was made in the 90s. At that time, Beanie Babies and Power Ranger toys and Transformer toys were all the rage. So everybody wanted to buy that toy. Man, I miss the 90s. Some way, I feel like I wish I was a kid in the 90s again, just to live that era again. But yeah, basically because of that, it forces Howard to make a lot of things, do a lot of stupid stuff in order to gain this toy, and it's a reflection of what is now today and what we used to be in the past, which is people obsessing over buying so many ridiculous toys out of ridiculous prices, how the lengths of people going through hell and high water to get those. It's amazing to see that, but it's also scary at the same time. But it's a good reflection, and hey, it was a good journey for Howard. So, with that said, let's talk about the characters in particulars. There are many, and there will be many that I will glance over. Sorry, Mrs. Hanks, I won't be looking at your character. You're fine, but it's just that you're not as special in this kind of situation. I mean, you're the grounded reality of Howard that he needs to put in, but other than that, sorry, not much. The cop, that will be for later, but he was more of a running gag. And yeah, there are probably more, but I just gonna take a look at the ones that stand out the most for me. So in this case, let's talk about Ted, who is played by the late Phil Hartman. I remember when Phil Hartman was one of the best comedians in the 90s. He was very exciting, he was very confident with his jokes, and this, alongside Small Soldiers, made me realize how good of a character he was portraying. And here he plays the bad guy, basically the neighbor next door, who is basically the anti-Flanders. Ned Flanders is very Christian, very lovable, very charismatic, but at the same time very into Jesus and everything. But in here, Ted is just the reverse of that. He's a womanizer, he's very cocky, very aggressive, and very bad. I mean, he spends the majority of this movie trying to flirt with Howard's wife, trying to get her to kiss him, to leave Howard, and to prove that he is better. And every time he does that, it just comes across as very pathetic. But in many ways, he really brings the charm, and it does remind me of a time in which they said that Phil Hartman was supposed to play Seth Brannigan in Futurama, and I could buy it with this performance because he's pretty much the jerky guy who thinks he could get every woman, but ends up at the short end of the stick, and that's pretty much what Ted is. He has a son too, but he uses for his own means to an end. And he has a psychopathic deer who is acting more like a bull. And he does have a very funny scene with Arnold. But yeah, Howard is, sorry, Ted is pretty much a bad guy, and you probably hate him more than the supposed bad guy of this film, the other antagonist. But so with that said, let's talk about Jamie, who is played by Jake Lloyd. Now, if you're one of those people who hates Jake Lloyd for his performance in Phantom Menace, first of all, you should be ashamed of yourself. And second, I don't think he was a bad kid actor. I mean, he was just given a terrible hand and terrible scripts, and he had a lot of things happening to him, but he didn't know how to handle it. Right now, he's in a better place, for what I understand. So I just hope that he can be okay with his life now that he's no longer in the public eye. But let's focus on his performance here as Jamie. He's pretty much the kid who really wants to be dreamy, who wants to do a lot of stuff. He doesn't do much in this film, but he's the catalyst of Howard's intentions of being a good father. Jamie most of the time looks very angry at his father, has some resentment because of what he didn't fulfill the promises of arriving at his most important moments. I don't think there are very many, but you can see that this is not the first time that he does this, and he's mad, but you can buy into his performance. Like, he carries a little bit of resentment towards his father because of the short times that he's been there, and he wants to be around more, and he admires more Turbo Man than he does his father, which is something that Howard really resents, and that's something that Jamie just this doesn't see until the end of the film, which I'm glad to see. Jake Lloyd's performance is nothing to write home about. He's just that, a wandering kid, and you can see that there was the early stages of him trying something in acting, but didn't know how to handle it. But yeah, he's still a good kid, and he does a serviceable performance. So I cannot fault him for that. So I just think it's unfair for me to just judge a kid actor just because they're given a script, and honestly I could see myself in the role of Jamie. I'm just saying, but he does a serviceable role, and I can fault him for that. But now let's talk about the main two. Starting with Myron, who is played by Sinbad. I don't know very much about the comedian, but I do know him from this movie. And it's just hilarious, man. I don't know why. It's just he acts as this psychopathic mailman who wants to buy a toy for his son, who tries to be nice to Howard but ends up screwing him because of the toy. Because of the Tourmaman toy. He does a lot of stupid stuff to get there. He dresses up as a villain. And at the end of the day, while I don't like that he's trying to screw Howard, I do admire Sinbad's performances as him, because Myron is just that, trying to be a good father, but also screwing around. Who knows what the life is with him and his son, but he's trying his best to be a father as well, but ends up doing stupidities and starts acting so over the top crazy. Just, I don't know, it's just all the scenes about choking a woman, trying to make a point, or trying to look all silly with his faces whenever he gets a prize, or makes threats to Howard. It's just ridiculous, and I love it. It's just Sinbad really went over the top in this performance, and I had my fun. He does say a lot of good jokes that I admire, especially to one of the cops. There was a scene that I'm gonna get into later, but made me laugh so hard because of how he's trying to be so intimidating and crazy. It's just amazing. Now let's talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger, or as my father likes to call him, Arnold Spasnaga. Ridiculous. And he's playing, in this case, Howard. Like I said, he's an workaholic father who realizes that he needs to make amends with his son, trying to be there for him all the time, and trying to get the Turbo Man doll. So he, throughout this movie, is put through hell and high water in order to get the toy, encounters many people. The guy is pretty much a lovable father who is very angry when you piss him off, but at the same time he's well intended, and he's just a great person. A lot of people, when they review this film, always said that Arnold feels like he's in autopilot, and I just say, where is the autopilot? Because when I see him or being over the top or doing a lot of goofy shit, I see a good performance, and I see a comedic performance. I mean, of course, we all know that Arnold is not the best actor in the world. He's not Laurence Olivier, or he's not Rami Malek or whatever, but he is a great comedic actor. He is very charming and charismatic. When he's given a performance in which he has to be in ridiculous situations, dressing up as a Turbo Man doll, or whenever he has to fight a deer. Yes, that happens in this film. He does it with every fiber of his being. He really goes hell and high water to be that kind of character. Howard is the kind of father you want to have, because he really is very responsible. He's just forgets sometimes. He can be a little forgetful because he wants to do well in his job. And that's something that I admire about Arnold. He makes the father not as an unlikable prick, but an actual father who's trying to do right for his son and wife. he's doing everything. He does great performance with his face, showing his terror, his happiness, his anger. He's just all over the place, and he does well. You really go into Howard's side in the end, and you feel a sense of relief whenever he succeeds in something. So I do like that. And Arnold performing in this film, I just love it for the comedy and the drama he brings. So yeah, this is pretty much me praising Arnold's praises. And people who said he was in autopilot, I dare to ask, were you seeing the same movie as I was? So let's talk about the comedy. I'm not an expert in comedy. Sometimes I don't laugh at jokes or things that someone tells me. I'm just not that kind of guy because I don't get it, or maybe it's not as funny for me. But I do enjoy this film for all the ridiculous moments. That Looney Tunes aspect that he has, from Howard fighting with Sinbad, with Myron, with him being chased by police officers, to Howard breaking into a radio station to get the price of the Turbo Man doll, for him to fight a bunch of guys, or trying to be happy or very comedic. It's just ridiculous. There's a running gag with a cop that he encounters, in which the cop is seeing Howard doing something and tries to arrest him, but he ends up with the short end of the stick, whether it's through the radio station, or or coffee, or the buses, or just being looked like a clown. The cop in this film is just a punching bag, which Howard didn't want to be, but he just tries his best to escape this guy, to escape with this cop. It's just hilarious. Seeing the scenes with Myron trying to fight for the toy, it's just ridiculous and fun. But they have so much comedic timing that I enjoyed it. I also enjoyed Phil Hartman's scenes as Ted, how he's trying to be a very lovable prick, but like I said, he ended up losing. How there's a lot of good liners about, things that are relevant, about buying toys around this time, the monopoly of Christmas during this time, how people go bend over backwards to get all the toys in the world. Amazing. But yeah, there's a lot of good scenes, a lot of comedy, and all 90% belong to Arnold. So yeah, he makes this film, and he makes it work for everybody. And let's talk about the action scenes. For the movie that is all about comedy, it has also action as well. From Howard fighting an evil army of fake Santas trying to scheme people, to him chasing a ball throughout the mall, from fighting people in a toy store, through fighting a reindeer, or being chased by a reindeer that is very psychopathic, only to punch him in the end. And then the final act, in which he has to dress as Turbo Man and tries to get the doll and give it to his son while fighting Howard. It's just ridiculous, goofball nonsense that I really, really like. And I really enjoy this movie for what it has, for what it brought. And I just love it. I just enjoy this film and the comedic timing. So why do I have this personal connection with this film? Like I said, it's mostly because of Arnold, but it's also because it made me realize that being a kid is not easy. As a kid, I always wanted to have toys, to have everything in my bedroom so I could play with them. But then I realized sometimes I can be very selfish, especially to my parents. I can be very selfish and demand to my parents that I want a toy, that I want a doll, because I want to play with it. But eventually I ended up forgetting that toy and just losing its value. That's why whenever I buy a toy or something, I always put it here in my collection because I like to have toys. I don't play with them, but I do like to have them in my possession. Like have them and just put them as as monuments of my childhood. I'm not a child anymore. Of course, I'm 31 at this time, so yeah, I mean it's already long past for me to obsess over toys, but in many respects it just brings a little bit of innocence to ourselves. But at the same time, it can also remind us of how we treat our folks and how sometimes they do every crazy thing just to make us happy. And honestly, that's what I got from this film. How it tries to show us that, yeah, our parents are not perfect, but they are always be there for us. And in our down moments, in their down moments, they're always trying to do everything to get the prize and to make amends. It's not always perfect, and sometimes you wish they can be there for you most of the time. But at the same time, they're doing everything for their kids, and that's something I really enjoy. It really made me appreciate how parents are trying to be for their children, how they trying to get what they want for their children, especially around this time. And honestly, if we look at it today, parents should be less concerned about buying toys to their children and any other sort of technological device and just be there for their kids. Give them the childhood that they need. Not just toys, but also moments they could remember. And to make the Christmas events be special, even if it doesn't have the greatest toys in the world. You always appreciate the small things, and that's what this movie made me appreciate. How parents around this time are the best kind of parents, and you just enjoy this film a lot. And I could tell you, this movie for me, I will love it for the rest of my life. I love the comedy. I love the drama. I love the goofy situations. I love Arnold's delivery, and I just love it as a whole. It's a very wholesome Christmas film that I'm glad that throughout the years it got more recognition and more love for everybody, especially about kids around that time. I just enjoy this film, and I hope that we can continue to celebrate Jingle All the Way and just not let guys like the Nostalgia Critic tell us that it is not a good film, because it is for us. It might not be It's a Wonderful Life, and it might not be all those classics Christmas films from the 80s, 90s, and 40s. But it's our personal cherry on top. It's the ugly sweater that we just find it cozy. And I honestly enjoyed it. So yeah, that is what I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed my review. I highly recommend seeing Jingle All the Way for all around Christmas. I know I'm gonna be watching it around this time, and yeah, just I'm glad that I got to talk about this film. I don't know what I'm going to review next week for Christmas, for the last review of the year. But I'm just gonna enjoy it this time, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So, I've been Enrique, and I'll see you next time. Peace.